people, so today I'm going to show you how to replace your ball joints and your CB boots or CB half shaft, because as you can see the ones in the Trooper are torn. They're really bad and they're leaking grease everywhere and I don't like that, and also the ball joints. So I usually remove the whole knuckle. So of course I already removed the tire, and as you can see previous owner added these spacers, so I'm going to remove them because I don't like them. So first thing, you need to check that your vehicle is safely jacked up. So as you can see I have a jack under the control arm and a jack stand under the frame. Better to be safe than sorry. So how I actually like to go at this is, first I remove the locking hub, or in this case the drive flange, and the C-clip on the end of the CB axle. Then I remove the caliper, then I remove the tie rod, then I pop the upper ball joint, finally the lower ball joint, and I pull the whole knuckle off. So I'm going to show you that right now. First thing I'm going to do is remove the spacer. So if you try to remove, well, the locking hub or a wheel sensor, you have one, this thing is just going to turn, you know. So in order to go around that, I fit a screwdriver inside the rotor so it actually locks itself against the calipers. I'm going to show you that real quick. So as you can see, I already got the screwdriver in the rotor, so now I can just use my breaker bar to loosen the spacer. That's what I'm going to do right now. There you go. So you want to do that with all 6 of them, of course. Oh, these are nice and tight in there. So the spacer is out. Now it's time to remove the drive flange. So for that you need an 8mm hex socket, and you're gonna remove all 6 of them. So just gonna do that, and I'll show you how it looks once I remove this cover. After you remove the cover, you'll find something like this. So you have to remove this snap ring with some snap ring pliers. Let's see if I can do this with just one hand. Nope. So I'll remove the clip and I'll show you what you gotta do next. After you remove the C-clip, you're gonna pull the drive flange or your locking hub, and you're just gonna put it aside. And as you can see, here's your wheel bearing, and I'm not happy with what I'm looking at, because this greasy looks really dirty and gritty. So I'm thinking that maybe my wheel bearing on this side is toast. I'll check it anyway. So after that, I like to remove the tie rod. You're gonna remove the castle nut and of course that safety clip, and you're gonna loosen the nut and you're gonna leave it threaded in, because then I use a hammer and hit the knuckle right here to pop the tie rod. I'll show you. I'll just remove the nut for now. So as you can see, I already loosened the knot. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna whack it right on the knuckle with a hammer. So we'll see if I can do this with just one hand. Turn it that way so that I can get access to the caliper bolts, and I'm going to remove the lower caliper bolt, and I'm going to open the caliper and I'm going to move it out of the way. You don't want to just let it dangle on the brake line. So what I like to do is I use a plastic bucket or something to support it right around here. Okay, so I'm not happy with what I'm finding here. The caliper bolts are really rusty. The lower one is stripped. The upper control arm is welded. They look like solid welds, at least we're gonna replace that. So anyway, I already removed the calipers, so now you're gonna remove your brake pads. Just make sure you don't get them greasy, or do your best not to get them greasy. Now I turn the knuckle and you have to remove the upper ball joint. But if your Trooper or Rodeo has 4-wheel ABS system, then you're gonna remove the sensor first to do that. So you're gonna remove this Allen head or hex head bolt, which is a 6mm if I remember correctly. And then you also have to remove your upper caliper bracket bolt, but you can get the sensor out of the way. So I'm gonna do that right now, and I'll show you later how to remove the upper ball joint. Okay, so the knot is almost all the way out. I leave it there to protect the threads, even though I'm gonna be replacing the ball joint. If you wanna protect the threads, right? So again, you're gonna use the hammer and hit right here hard cast iron part. So let's go. At least appears to be welded solid, so all the upper ball joint is out from the knuckle. So now if you're going to replace your upper ball joint like I am, all you gotta do, oh, it's actually not that bad. I don't like, that it has been used without the boot, so you have to remove these 3 bolts. Now if they are the factory bolts, they're usually going to be 14mm bolts. If someone has already replaced them, they're usually going to be 17, so just keep that in mind. So what I did right now is I just pushed the CB from the knuckle, just like this. And now you're going to remove your lower ball joint nut and the safety clip again. And you're going to use the same technique, you're going to whack it, and you're going to leave the nut threaded in. Because if you don't, the whole knuckle is gonna fall and you can, well, mess the knuckle or the CB or something, so just be careful with that. And after you loosen the nut and you whack it, you're gonna want to support it from this sorry, from this side, so that it doesn't drop. And after you're holding it, you're gonna finish the nut and you're gonna pop the whole knuckle out. Okay, so I already loosened the nut. So now it's the same story. I'm gonna whack it right here. I'll see if I can hold the camera while I do it. Because this angle is a little harder. So we'll see. From the upper taper, it's kind of heavy, so be careful. And with your other hand, you're gonna remove the nut. And after you remove the nut, you're gonna remove the whole knuckle. And you're gonna be careful because the CB has to slide out of the knuckle as well. So it's kind of tricky, but it's not that hard, If it's your first time doing it, it's probably gonna be harder than if you had already done it. So I'm gonna jump to do that right now. Okay, so the knuckle's out. So now you're going to remove the inner boot clamp and you're gonna pull the boot. And inside the CB cup, there's usually a snap ring that prevents the inner joint from popping out. If it's an aftermarket 3 bearing joint, it usually is not going to have it. So I'm going to show you what it should look like. So here I have a spare CB cup just to show you. And as you can see inside, there's a groove all around of it. So that's where the C-clip is supposed to sit. So if your joint has the C-clip, you're just going to use a small flathead screwdriver. And you're gonna look around the inside perimeter of the cup, and then you're gonna remove the snap ring, and then you're gonna pull the joint. I feel like this joint is not going to be OEM, or at least not like the high quality ones. It's going to be the 3 bearing type inner joint. So I'm gonna remove the boot and I'm gonna inspect it. And just as I thought, it's the 3 bearing type inner joints, so those joints are kind of weak. If you're gonna do some heavy off-roading, try not to run one of those inner joints. So anyway, if you got one of those, all you gotta do now is just pull, and it should free itself up. Huh. Okay, so looks like this one doesn't want to come out. That's interesting. So I'll drop the camera for a second, I'll check what's going on. I'll be right back. Okay, so the CV is out, the CV half shaft. So what I'm going to do now, since this boot was torn, is I'm going to remove the inner joint. And in order to do that, you have to check the end of the shaft. It's going to have a cyclic very similar to the one that you removed on the end, on the hub. After you remove the cyclic, you can pop the inner joint out. It doesn't matter if it's a 6 bearing type inner joint, you also have that clip. Then you're gonna remove your old boot and your inner boot, or I'm sorry, your outer boot as well. And what I like to do if I'm going to clean these things is I let them soak in gas for a while. So I'm gonna show you how they look after that. Soak them in gas. They're going to look really clean, and then you're gonna grease them, install the new boots, and it's gonna be good to go. I still have to remove the ball joint, so I'm gonna show you as well how it looks with the new ball joints in. Alright, so as you can see, I'm using gas to clean the joints. The outer one is really clean already. I remove all the grease and all the dirt from it, and as you can see, this joint is actually in still very good shape. If the balls are all dull, then it means it's worn out and you need a rebuild, you need more new one. And the new joint, the inner joint is in here. Just let them soak. So you gotta be careful with this stuff, obviously, because it's gas. So you don't want to be smoking or doing anything stupid, and always have fire extinguisher in your hand. Now, if you don't want to burn your skin, just use some gloves or something. And afterwards, of course, you're gonna wash your hands and use some hydrating lotion or whatever. So yeah, these joints are ready to be rebooted, but I'm gonna let them soak in here for a while I install the new ball joints. Okay, so now to grease the outer joint. Most CB boot kits will come with a grease in the back, and if they don't, just get a blob of grease, put them in the back, cut in the corner of it or the edge, and you wanna put it in there and squeeze it until grease stops coming out of the ball. So I'm gonna show you right now. I'm gonna get this thing in there. I'm gonna squeeze it. See, grease has started to come around the ball, so you wanna keep doing that until all 6 balls are greased up. Okay, so as you can see, after you grease it, you're just going to slide the new boot over it. In this case, I'm gonna be using zip ties because I was having issues with the metal clamps. I don't know what happened with them. In case of my rodeo, I only run the metal clamps on the outer joint because they give a better seal, and since I do off-roading with it. But with the Trooper, it's just going to be a daily driver, so it should be fine. Anyway, I tightened them as much as I could. As you can see, there's no play in them, so they should be good to go. So now, going back to the ball joints. These are 14s, so you have your bolt and a nut on the bottom. I'm gonna remove the 3 of them, pop the old ball joint, install a new one. And with the bottom bolts, there are 17s. You're gonna remove the bolts with the nut on the bottom, install a new ball joint, so I'm going to do that right now. So I already removed the upper ball joint bolt, so now you just pop it out. And here's my new ball joint. Try to get quality replacements. So before you actually just drop it in, try to clean this surface with a wire brush or something to remove any rust, so the ball joint sits squarely. So my new upper ball joint is in. I always try to get good replacement parts. In this case, this one is 3.5, which is OEM grade. And yeah, don't buy cheap Chinese ones, because you regret it. You can see this one's really tight, so the suspension is going to be really nice and clog free. And now another tip, if you're going to lift your Isuzu, let's say 3 inches, you could do the bulging flip mod. And what that does is actually install your bulging on the bottom of the controller instead of top, and that helps you to recover some camber after you lift it, and also gives you some wheel travel back after you lift. Now I'm gonna remove the lower bulging, but sadly I'm still waiting on this part to come. It was supposed to be here early in the morning, but it's almost new and it's not here yet, so I'm gonna be waiting on that, and then I'll show you how to install it. Okay, so I already installed the outer boot. Now I slid in the inner boot, and I installed the inner joint with its C-clip. Now it's time to grease it. So you want to follow a very similar procedure. You're gonna cut the corner of the bag, and then you're just gonna grease everything real good. You're gonna grease the can, and then you're gonna insert the joint and install, well, the clamps. I'm gonna be using zip ties again. I'm gonna show you how it looks like. I already removed the lower ball joint, so something that I actually recommend you is getting some spare bolts for the lower ball joint, because the problem is that a lot of times these bolts get hit on rocks or stuff in the street or whatever, so they actually get rounded at the tip, and you're able to remove them with a breaker bar and a lot of patience, but if you're gonna try to reinstall them, that's just not gonna happen. So try to have some spare bolts for the lower ball joint. Okay, so my lower ball joint finally came in. I already installed it. So now you have to install the knuckle in here, and to do that you're gonna hold the knuckle from the upper ball joint taper, and you're gonna first start sliding the CV into the knuckle, and then you're gonna slide it over the lower ball joint. It's kind of complicated, but I won't be able to show you because I can do that with one hand, but I'll show you how it's supposed to look after you're done. So as I said, first start sliding the CV into the knuckle, and then you slide it over the lower ball joint. Okay, so as you can see, you got the knuckle in. You need to thread the lower ball joint nut loosely just to hold the knuckle. The CV's in there, so now I'm gonna tighten the lower ball joint. Then I'm gonna get the upper ball joint into the knuckle and tighten it, and we're gonna be pretty much done. Okay, so at this point you should have the knuckle in, and right now it's just a matter of installing the brake caliper, your drive flange, your locking hub, and your tie rod. I won't be doing that because I need to take the wheel bearing apart. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Oh, and also remember to install the ABS sensor. If you have any questions, feel free to post it in the comments. I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. And thanks for watching.